welcome to another FasTrax webinar. Webinars are weekly events that are held on Fridays at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and cover a range of topics for all the FasTrax Solutions products that we have. In today's webinar, we are covering the Android app using the handheld. So to get to webinars, first what you want to do is go to our website at goftx.com. Once here, you'll come over to the FTx Lifeline. Click on that link and then go about halfway down the page and we'll get to webinars. From the webinar section, we are able to sign up for upcoming webinars. You just click on the register now and you can register for the upcoming webinar. We can view the previous webinars that have happened. And we have a link here to subscribe so you can get notified of any time there's an upcoming webinar or any other FasTrax news that we have. So let's jump right in today with doing the warehouse handheld. All right, so when you log into the handheld for warehouse, you have this screen. This is all our different modules. So the first thing we want to do is actually go to settings. We want to cover that first. It's down here at the bottom right. And under settings, we're going to go to warehouse settings. So within here, we can set our default manifest printer. This is whenever we go and pick an order and we're going to print out a manifest. This is what printer we're going to use. So we click on it and we can select what printer we want. Once we click on it, you can now see my brother printer is listed as my default printer here. Same thing for the label printer. Select which one you want to use by default so your labels will print to that printer. We have the option to auto print the manifest, meaning that it just automatically does it. It doesn't give you a pop-up asking if you want to print it. It'll just print. The next one is use boxes during. So if we're picking items and we're putting them into boxes or totes, this lets us say, are we doing that during the pick? Or are we waiting until we actually do the verify? Allow users to close orders just means once an order is picked, is that user able to actually close and invoice that order. Pick items with a zero quantity and guided pick. Do we skip that item or do we have to actually click next? All right, let me scroll just a little bit. All right, so we have always scan. This means that you have to scan the UPC instead of scanning and then typing in a quantity. So always scan, do we want to do that everywhere? We can do always scan in just the pick section. And we can also set it to do it in the verify section. All right. Do we want a prompt for guided pick or not? Do we scan to edit an item in guided pick or do we just tap on it? If we have it scanned to edit, we'd have to actually scan that UPC. Do we always want to prompt for a box or no? And then do we want to prompt for a cart? What cart are we going to use? All right, we're just going to go back to the main screen. And let's just start at the top. We will start with inventory. Inventory is where you're going to go through and count your items that you have in warehouse. Make sure your quantities that you're showing in the system is actually correct. So once we open it up, right now, as you can see, I do not have any unfinished inventories. You should already have definitions created, so if you want to start a new one from the handheld, you just click on the red plus sign. And these are our definitions that we have. So we just go through and select the one that we want. For today, I'm going to do test. It's going to ask me if I want to proceed with this. I want to tell it yes, I do. And so now you see it tells me I have no items that have been scanned. Also, if you notice, there's a red gear down here at the bottom. These are our settings within the inventory. Always scan currently is disabled. I can actually enable it from here. And it tells me that I'm going to do a single scan. Basically telling me that I'll have to scan every item on this one. So I don't want to enable it or disable it. I'll just tell it yes, and I have another message telling me that I've chosen to enable always scan. And what this is going to do is going to automatically append 1 every time I scan that item. Alright, we have a rescan prompt that's enabled. That's basically when you scan an item and then you come back to it later. If I'm not using always scan, I would get a prompt that asks me, do I want to append or replace that item? Of course, replacing means if I type in 5, it's going to override what I entered the first time to 5. If I do append, it's going to add that 5 to whatever I already had. I have the option to show count history. So I can show only my recent history, or I can show all my scan history, or we've got it set to show all scan history. So anything on this inventory that's been scanned will show up. That's in case if I'm scanning and then I have somebody else scanning on the other side of the warehouse, I can see what's been scanned. And we have uncounted items. These are the items that are in that definition that I have not scanned yet. As you can see, it tells me what item it is and what my expected quantity is. Alright, so to do an inventory, all we do is we take the handheld, go to the item and scan it. It's going to come up. It says this one's a package. How many do I have? So I can enter, in this case, I'll say 0 on this one because it's a package, not the actual item that I was wanting to scan. So on cigarettes, we have stamps. We have a state stamp. So you may have multiple states that you sell to. And you may have stuff that's already pre-stamped. So any item that has a stamp associated with it, we have the option of no stamp or select which stamp is associated with the one that we're scanning. So right now I'm going to just do no stamp. I'll tell it OK. And as you can see, it shows I have a count of 1. And so when I'm doing this, every time it's going to ask which stamp and then my quantity will automatically be added. And it does that because I do have always scan enabled. If I disable the always scan, I scan the item again. It asks me again, is this one got a stamp or not? I'm still going to do no stamp. But now I can actually enter my quantity. I'm just going to enter 49 because that's what it says I have. I'm going to hit add. So since I've scanned it before, it asked me, it's been rescanned, I want to replace or append it. So if I append it, I've already got 2, so that's going to make my count 51. I'm going to replace, so my count is actually 49. You just keep going down and scan every item that you have. And enter in your quantity, then just hit add. And as you can see, it goes in the order that you scanned. And the last thing that you scanned is on top, and it's got a red box around it. Alright, so if I go through and I do my inventory and say I made a mistake, say on my basic cigarette here, I can actually go back into it and change that quantity. So let's actually scan that item one more time and tell it I have 70 of this one. And also on the stamps, if I was to go in and do Alabama stamp, I'm going to say that I have 2 of these. So now you can see that for item number 2, I have 2 entries. I have one that says no stamp with a count of 49, and one with an Alabama stamp with a count of 2. I can look to see if I have any uncounted items. I'm showing that I have, this one is uncounted. And I said this one before was a item package, meaning it was like a pack and not the actual carton itself. If I need to type in a UPC, say I can't scan it for whatever reason, I can come up here to the top and there's a little magnifying glass. I can click on it. I can type in my item number and press enter. It'll actually be the magnifying glass here. And this shows any item that possibly it could be. And if for some reason, if your item's not there, you just cancel out of it. Alright, so with the inventory, we cannot actually finish that up on the handheld itself. That has to be done in Warehouse. So if we actually look at Warehouse, and if we was to go to inventory, so you see I've got 2. One is finished, one shows to still be open. And I can look at my counts here. The reason we'd want to finish up in Warehouse when doing an inventory is the fact that we want to come back through here and make it double check. Well, this says I've got 7 that I entered in, but I'm supposed to have 70, so I can go back and recount that. And if it is 70, I would just come in and change here. And now I don't have a variance. Now, if you go into Warehouse and actually start an inventory, you can still pick that up on the handheld. Once you go into inventory, it'll show you any inventory that's actually open has not been finished yet. And you click on it and you pick up right where you left off. Alright, our next module is item check. And that's pretty much all that it is. It's just an item check. You take and you scan your item. It comes up, gives you your item number, how many you have on hand, the description, your cost, your price. It tells you what locations it's in. So this one is showing to be in Bay 5. If, for whatever reason, if I need to add more stuff to it, as far as if I want to put what aisle it's in, I can do that. Just click on it. And we'll say it's on aisle 21. If I hit next, you see it goes down to selection. I can keep entering and hit next, and it keeps going down the list for me. If I hit the back button, that'll get rid of my keyboard. Once I have everything entered, I can come and tell it to update. So if I scan that item again, I now have my aisle 21 listed in here as well. From this screen, we also have 3 dots. If we click on that, we can look at UPCs that are assigned to this item. So here's our UPCs. If for whatever reason there's a new UPC that you need to associate with it, you can just hit add. And you can type in your new UPC number. And if this is an item package, say if it's a pack and not a carton, you can say that it's a package and select what package it belongs to. The other option is packages assigned. That's just going to tell you what item packages that are associated with this one. It gives you your item number, the description, and the number of units. We can't edit this. This would have to be done in the warehouse program itself, but we can at least see what item packages are associated with it. All right. Our next module is receiving. So with receiving, it's basically you've got a purchase order and you are receiving that in. So you ordered something from your vendor, it came in, now you're receiving it. So you just click on the one that you're wanting to receive. It tells you there's no items that's been added yet. Again, if we come down to our settings at the bottom, we can do always scan, we can do a rescan prompt, and we can see our unscanned items. So if we just scan an item, it comes up, it tells us our item number, description, our cost, how many is actually on the order quantity. We just put in how many we received and hit add. So now we see how many we received on this one. So I'll scan our next item. It says we ordered 3. We make sure that we do have 3. If that is correct, I've just entered 3. If we go back and look, now we will not have anything unscanned. So again, we do not have a setting enabled where we can actually close the purchases from the handheld. So again, this would be something that we would want to go into warehouse to finish up. So if we go back into our warehouse program, we'd go into purchasing. So here we see our items. It shows our quantity ordered and our quantity received. We would just finish this up like anything else. We would just tell it to receive. And from there, we would finish up by putting in our invoice and telling it to apply. All right, so our next module is pick order. So pick orders, we're just we've got an order in, we've got somebody going in the warehouse to actually pull that merchandise to get ready to ship out to our customer. So as you can see, it shows us all of the open orders that we have. We would just select which one we want to do. And so as you see, it tells us what bay they're listed in. I can actually click on this and drill down to the item itself. So with that, we just go through and we scan our item. It tells us that our order quantity was 2. We scan this item, we're going to pick 2. So we'll just enter 2 as our quantity and add. As you can see, now that's crossed out. We go back to this screen, bay 1, it shows completely picked. Now if we change our setting here to always scan, I'll go to scan the next item. So as you can see, now this one shows that it's picked as well. I don't get the pop-up to come up before I type it in because I have always scan enabled. So I have to just scan each item. Scan 1. Scan it again. So this time, I scanned 1 too many of the item. It tells me I've exceeded the order quantity. Do I want to continue? I want to tell it no. And this was actually item 3 that I was doing. Expected quantity 2. Again, if I scan that item, it tells me that I've exceeded. I'm tell it no, we'll go back. So let's go to day 4. This is our item number 4. It tells me it's picked. But as you can see, this one I did not go into the bay. And it does not show that it's unpicked. So I do have to click on which bay I'm doing. So like bay 5, for example. So this one I have an aisle number as well, so I can actually go down to the aisle that it's on. And it's the same way. I scan the item. And as you notice, it does cross out the item number. And it puts my quantity of 1. Alright, so this now shows completely picked. Completely picked. And just to finish out the order here. Alright, so I can go to my settings and look at the uncounted items. As you can see, I don't have any that's uncounted. So once I'm finished, I can actually come in here and mark this order as being picked. So it comes up with the pop-up, tells me that once I mark it as being picked, I will no longer be able to pick items for it. So am I sure that I want to do this? I will click yes. And now as you can see, that order is no longer in here. All right, one other thing while picking, we do have the option to add carts and boxes for the order. So box or a tote is what you're putting that item in to be able to be sent to your customer or your store. If you're wanting to add a tote, you would just come and hit the box button. It's telling me no boxes are found. Usually your box, you can actually add UPCs to them so you can scan those. If you don't have one that you can scan, you can always manually type it in. All right, and so now as you can see, it says box 5. So as I keep scanning, everything is going to be added to box 5 on this one. All right, our next module is verify order. This is after it's been picked, it goes to the verify station so you can actually verify that the person that picked it did pull the correct quantity. They didn't short the customer any. They didn't put one, too many onto the order. So this is just an extra step to verify that your inventory, you can keep your inventory straight. So we would just select which order it is that we want to verify. All right, and just like the other ones, we do have, you have a rescan prompt. I can do a always scan is enabled. That just means I would have to scan each item. And also with the handheld, you have the option to turn it in landscape mode. So if we do it this way, as you can see, we have items here that need to be verified, and this is a list of verified items. So with these, all we do is just go through and we scan our items. As you can see, it shows up red. It shows pick 2, we have verified 1. As I verify the total quantity, as you can see, it moves over to the right-hand side here. Again, if I try to scan another one, it's going to tell me that I've exceeded the pick quantity. So do I want to add this one? I'm going to tell it no. And then I'll just continue to scan my order. And since I have the always scan on, that means I just keep scanning, just one after another. I don't have to enter any quantities. I just scan it, and that's one each time I scan it. All right, as you can see, I have finished all of the items on here. They're all on the right-hand side. So I can actually go and mark this order as verified. Again, we don't have the option to close the order enabled, so I can't close it from here. I'll have to do that from within Warehouse. But that's just a way to get another set of eyes to verify everything looks good. So I get the message telling me that after marking is verified, I can no longer verify any items on the order. Am I sure? And it does pull up to where I can look and see my items, how many were picked, how many were verified, make sure I don't have a variance. I just click send, and that order is now marked as a verified order. All right, and as you can see, we can keep the tablet or the handheld in landscape mode by keeping it turned sideways if you like. Some people prefer it that way. Some people prefer it in portrait. That's totally a preference. That's up to you. So I'm actually going to skip verify items. We're going to do that in a moment. We're going to go to guided pick. This is just another way that we can pick orders. So for example, we'll pick our next order here. It's going to ask us if we're sure we want to continue. One other thing that we have the option to do when picking, you notice up here we have all groups. So I can actually go in and change that to only be a certain group that I'm picking. So for example, if we look at this particular order, you notice we have, like, for example, my item number 1 here comes up. Well, this one I know is in my cigarette pick group. And it tells me up here that I have a total of 6 items. So we know there's 6 items on this order currently. But if we go back and we tell it that we want to do a pick group, so I only want to do cigarettes, for example. So this now shows me only orders that have cigarettes on them. All right, so I'm going to do the same order, 1849. So I get the prompt that asks me, do I want to pick only the items based on this pick group? So I'm going to tell it yes. So now, as you see, instead of 6 items on this order, I have 2. That's because I'm only doing the cigarettes portion. Somebody else is going to go get one of the other groups. So with this, I can go in here and scan my item. So it tells me that I've scanned enough. So I'm going to hit OK so I can navigate to the next item. I can scan my next item. So it tells me there's other items on the order that are not picked, but I want to pick the rest of the order now. Well, I'm only doing cigarettes, so I'm going to tell it no, so the next person can keep picking the order. So as you can see, I no longer have 1849 in my list of cigarettes. But if I was to change, say, to cigars, it doesn't look like I have anything in the cigar department for that one. So what about OTP? All right, so with that one, if you want to make sure that you have pick groups assigned for each product line, just so you don't have a case where you're picking one product line and then don't have the rest of the order on something else. But the verified items module is very similar to the verify order. The difference is the verify order is you're looking at a whole order at one time. Verify items is going to be used for when I'm doing the guided pick and using pick groups. So we picked 1849, but we still have more items on that order. Well, as a picker, I take those items to my verify station. The person verifying can go into verify items, see my order number, tell that I want to continue, and it tells me what is on the order currently. So the same way as before, I would go through and scan my items. All right, and as I scan them, they move over to the other side. You notice I have a yellow triangle here with an exclamation mark in it. That's letting me know that everything is not finished on this item. So I don't want to come in here and mark it as verified yet. If I go back to guided pick, so my 1849 is not showing in here. So let's do this. Let's go back to the cigars. And the reason 1849 is not showing in here is because our status changed once we picked items from it. So we'd hit the 3 dots at the top, and I want to go from open to in progress. So now you see my 1849 shows up. So I want to tell it I want to continue. We're only going to do it on the pick group again. This one, of course, is my cigars, so only cigars will be in this pick group. We finish that one, we'll go to the next one. And again, we get the pop-up that says there's other items. Do we want to pick the rest? All right, so we've got that one done for cigars. We'll go back. And now we can actually go back to verify because we take those items to the verify station. We still have 1849 in here. So we so we want to continue with it. So now you can see we have the first two items that we've done from cigarettes. Now here's our cigars listed in here. So we just go through and verify the items. All right, as you can see, they moved over. We still have a triangle here. All right, so we're going to go finish up our order for. So we're going to change it to OTP. Again, we're going to go to our in progress. All right, it doesn't look like we have it under OTP, so I'm going to go back. We're going to select all groups. All right, so here's 1849. We're going to finish it up here. All right, so I just finished picking everything on that order. I get the pop-up that asks me, do I want to print a manifest for the entire order? I can tell it yes, and it would send it to the printer for me. I'm just going to tell it no. So then it's going to tell me after I mark this as being picked, I won't be able to do anything else. I'm going to go ahead and finish that. All right, so it is now gone from my list. Now when I go back to verify items, it's no longer an in-progress order because I've marked it as picked. So now I need to look for picked orders. So here's my order. I'm going to tell it to continue. Just verify all my items. Now I'm done. And I still have a question mark here, or exclamation mark. It didn't turn green. But I would, at that point, actually look at my order and make sure that everything is on the order, that I didn't skip anything. And if everything does look to be correct, I would come in here and tell it to mark as verified. Again, the way I'd want to do that is I'd actually want to go into Warehouse, and I would want to look at my orders. So I can look at, I know my pick quantity is here, but I can go into verify. All right, so in looking at the verify screen, I can see that everything on here has been verified. So I will go ahead and flag it as being a verified order. And then from there, we can close out the invoice for our customer. All right, so returns. This is basically just if you're getting stuff back from one of your customers, say it's something that's out of date or damaged, they're sending it back to you. You can go in and do a return order. So if we already have one in here, we can click on it. As you can see, it shows we have -2 expected. So with that one, we can just scan our item. You notice because this is a return, it put it as a -1. And then a -2. So because it knows it's a return, it automatically puts the negative sign in front of it, so we don't have to go back and do that part of it. All right, don't want to manifest. I want to tell it to mark this picked. And the same thing, if you're verifying orders, you can then go in and verify that is the correct quantity that you received back. Okay, our next module is blank orders. This is basically if you're wanting to do an order on the handheld for a customer, you could go in and create an order here. The way we would do it is just come and hit the red plus at the bottom, and you select what account it's going to be for. You have to select your salesman. We'll say this one is salesman B, and your customer PO number. Just put in a number here, then we'll tell it to create. All right, it says no, there's no items that have been scanned, so I just scan an item. All right, how many is going to be on the order? Well, we'll say 2. So now we've got item number 7 with a quantity of 2 on this order. As you can see, we don't have as many options in here. It's just always scan and a rescan prompted are the only options for this one. But this basically just creates an order kind of on the spot for a customer. You don't have to go into a warehouse to actually do it. You can do it from the handheld itself. All right, return totes. As I mentioned before, we use boxes or totes to send items out to our customers, to our stores. So totes are a way that we track those. So if I assign a box to an order, I know it's going to account number 1. So I know where that tote's at, and it's going to show that that's the location that it's out. It says it's out and it's at that location. Well, when they send that back, I need to get that checked back into my warehouse so it shows to be available to be used for the next order. So all you do for return totes is you scan your UPC that's on your tote. And if for some reason, if it can't scan, you can always come up here to the magnifying glass, click on it. You can actually enter your tote number. So this tells me box 001 is successfully checked in. All right. And we can actually check that by going to maintenance and warehouse, to our totes. 001 is now checked in. As you can see, 2, 3, and 4 are out. So if I come back and let's do 003. Okay, that one's been checked in now. So if I go back to warehouse, and if I refresh this module, as you can see, 3 is now checked in as well. All right, the last module that we have to cover is adjustments. And adjustments, of course, is just moving items either in or out, whether it be you overlooked an item when receiving something, or when you've done an inventory, you missed a section and need to adjust your inventory for that. So with that one, all you do is you just hit the add sign. We can enter a note. As you can see, there's already a checkbox that if it's damaged or not. We can check it if it's a damaged item or if it's not a damaged item. And the note can be for whatever. We can do we'll just say it's a receiving adjust. All right, we just hit OK. scan what item it is. Alright, so this one is, am I adding this to my inventory or am I taking it out of inventory? So if I'm adding to inventory, I would just hit 2 and update. If it's not adding, I'm taking away, I would want to hit the negative sign, the minus, and 2. And that will take 2 out of my inventory. But once I have the number entered, I just hit update, and it adds that to my adjustment. Once I get everything entered in, I can come down to the settings, and I have the option to apply to inventory. That will do it straight from the handheld. No need to go back into the warehouse program to do it. All right, that pretty much covers everything in the warehouse handheld. I hope you learned something today. And as always, if you have a handheld and have any questions, always call into support, and any of the techs here will be able to walk you through and assist you in any questions that you have. Alright, and just as a reminder, as always, webinars are weekly, but we have these every week. We'll have one next Friday. They start at 9 a.m. Central, 10 Eastern, and they're in the webinar section of our Go FTx website. Thank you and have a good day.